This is a completely new range of lures from Malosi. If you have been living under a rock or just not living in Australia, you've probably missed AFTA, which is the Australian Fishing Trade Association. It's the big Australian fishing trade show that happens every year, which we just had, and it looks something like this.
They've asked us to steal a heap of them to bring back, so...
1, 2, 3. Yeah, got me?
Malosi has given me permission to share with you the full range of what's coming. The Malosi boys have a film in the TFI this year, and it tells their backstory. If you're keen to watch it, it's an amazing story that the boys have made themselves. It's fully handcrafted by them. Really reminded me a lot of the old Morning type films. I don't think it was intentional. It was just maybe the crazy metal music and stuff they had in the action sequences. I don't want to give too much away, but if you can, go check out their TFI film. It tells you the full backstory. I'll give you a brief overview here so you kind of know where these boys have come from. They just started in their bedroom, carving lures. And before anything was for sale or anything was products, they did a trip to Samoa, to their homeland, and they absolutely slayed. Their lures were getting bocked by massive GT, red bass, barracuda, all kinds of fish. It was this pivotal moment for them where they realised, wait a minute, we've got something here. It's more than just a couple of guys whittling away at wood in their bedroom. That was the moment when they were like, all right, we got to somehow work out how to do this. To see where they've come now from those humble beginnings is truly amazing. Two of my mates, I love fishing with them. They cast all day long. They are hardcore fishermen. I really respect that about them, and yeah, they make amazing lures. This is the big step, I think. They brought out the micros, which were rad for kids and people wanting to do light tackle, tweaky. Awesome. But now this just completely fills the gap between micros and masters. I think it's going to be a game changer for fishermen and for Malosi. So I'm very proud of the boys. Let's have a look at what's going on here. I'll pick the camera up. Righto, mate. This is the Staples range. All of these ones you see here, Staples. It's a new range from Malosi. These two here are some that we'll talk about in a minute. I'll quickly go through all of the models for you, and then we'll crack them open and have a look in more detail at each. First, we have the Hero. It's a floating minnow in 4 different sizes. The big one is 180mm, 78 grams. The next size is 140mm, 35 grams. Then we got 120mm, 25 grams. And the smallest size is 100mm and 15 gram. Next we have the Chieftain, which is a floating stick bait in 3 sizes. 210mm, 120 gram is the big fella. The in-between size is 190mm, 95 gram. And the smallest size is 150mm, 50 gram. Next we have the Tyrant, big action, easy to pop, 180mm, 135 gram. Middle size we have 150mm, 65 gram. The smallest size is 120mm, 35 gram. Next we have the Rogue, which is a little sinking stick bait. Biggest size 115mm, 50 gram. Middle size 100mm, 35 gram. Smallest size 85mm, 25 gram. Next we have the Tallow diving popper. Biggest size 180mm, 110 grams. Middle size 150mm, 60 grams. Smallest size 120mm, 30 grams. That was all Staples, which is a new range. And these two here are part of the micro range, but they're a larger size. You would see Little Sonny in my films casting minnows a lot of the times, tiny little diving minnow. And the one he casts is 80mm. This one's 95. It's a step up in size. And also the Walk the Dog, you would have seen me use the Echo 80F a million times. This is now a 95F. They were also presented at AFTA at the trade show. That gave you a little overview on the lures. Now I'm going to crack them open and we can get a closer look at what's going on here, mate. If you've been using Malosis, you're probably familiar with most of those others. They're reimaginings of the Master Series. These are probably the newest, most unique thing for you to see. So we'll start with these. The Hero is a floating minnow. It's the kind of lure that you don't have to put any mental or technical tweaky energy into to get the nib. You can just cast it out and wind it and it's going to hook fish. Let's crack in. This is not going to do it justice. We're indoors. We don't have the full outdoor flash. But man, when you cast something out that looks like this and it is, you know, so realistic, hyper real, fish see it and they hit it before you've even wound. There's 12 colors in total. I've just grabbed random ones here, so you might get repeats. As you can see here, some of the lures have a full spectrum flash just running through the entire thing. Transparent layers with different colors, different belly plates with flashes, different wings, silver gill plates, full spectrum gill plates. There's just so much going on in these lures and so much creative freedom for Nikkel to make these beautiful colors. It's really impressive. So just in a general comment about all of them, they are extremely unique lures, have such sick looks to them. There's just so much creative freedom. It is really cool to see what the boys have done here. Working our way through the different sizes, this is the 180mm, a big, strong minnow. She swims about 1.5 meter under. So all of these have the weight shift, where the ball bearings start at the back when you cast, and then as the lure starts swimming and dives down, they slide up to the front into a nicer center of gravity for the action. All these lures are finished with BKK terminal tackle. Most people are upgrading to BKKs when they upgrade hooks on other lures, so to have them by default, always very nice. The boys have named this Hero, as in anyone can be a hero. I think that's kind of the theory behind that. That's how I take it anyway. And that's totally true of lures like this. You cast it out, you don't have to know what you're doing, you just wind it in and a massive fish is going to smash it. And at 78 grams, even from the rocks, that thing's going to send. Next up, we got 140mm 35 gram. I've only used them for a couple of sessions so far, but already amazing action, casts like a bullet. That one dives to about 1 meter, still at that perfect depth for the reef flats or for pelagics. This is in the size that you could definitely flick for a mulloway as well. So I think down south, up north, these are going to be killer. Many people are going to love these lures. Beautiful lure. Let's drop down next size. Now we're at 120mm, 25 gram. This is getting to the size where you plop it in the water and everything comes up from a little cod to a marlin to try and eat this. It's just such a sick profile, such a sick size. I'm so excited for little Sonny to be able to flick stuff like this. He's getting to the stage where he really wants to use the heavier setups and he's physically not really capable of that yet. I think he'll, with the drag setting you use on bigger setups, he'll get pulled in. 6 stepping stone between those tiny micros he's been using and the big lures up top. Very excited. Now we're at 100mm and 15 gram. So this is approaching the micro lures. At this stage, I'm going to pop open the Minion and you'll see the full coverage of sizes. The Hero will dive that little bit deeper, more like 1 meter, whereas this is about 0.5 meter, and it is wire through. So it's a sturdier lure, definitely intended for bigger fish, and the Minion is, I guess, more of a finesse lure. It can still handle really good sized fish. If you've seen my films, tuna, mackerel, all kinds of stuff have been landed on these, and that's the smaller size. So this bigger size, very excited, pretty excited, man. That's the Heroes range done. Let's move on. I think we had Chieftains next. I've been on a couple recent trips with these. The old Chieftain was a much more simple lure, simple action. It was more for beginners, I'd say. These things, they're not like your psychoist floating stick bait. You have to be tweaky master to even use it. But because of the construction, because it's plastic, you can have way more buoyancy. The old Chieftains sat like this, the Vaders sit like this, and these sit like this. So they're kind of halfway in between a Chieftain and a Vader in the way that they sit. These things are definitely captured my attention. First up, we got the big 210, 120 gram Chieftain. And as I said before, these things are not the old Chieftain. They definitely have a new action, new technology, new buoyancy. They're very floaty, very lively. They'll get up and boogie if you want to straight wind them. You can sweep them pretty hard, man, and they will just dive under and kick like crazy, big bubble trail.
That's good.
They're much more erratic and out of control than the old Chieftain. The shape looks the same, but the action is completely different. That's the best way to describe it. Tuned for double treble. They have massive BKK hooks on them, BKK splits. This will be my go-to floating stick from now on. The Vader will take a back seat for sure. It still has its place, but these things are truly amazing. I love the look of them. I love the action. And just frothing, man. I'm so keen to throw them more. That's the 210mm, 120 gram. Big GT, big Junies, big Spanish. Next up, we have 190mm, 95 gram. You know, if things shut down on the bigger stuff, but you still want to have solid hooks, solid terminals to land a GT, this is what comes out. Not disturb the zone as much, have a bit slimmer of a profile, but still be able to land monsters. So now we're stepping down. Those first two lures I'd be throwing on my heavy setup. Now we're stepping down to P4, P5, maybe P6. So at 150mm here, I reckon this has to be the ultimate reef flat size. I haven't been to the reef with it yet, but I am so excited to take this to the reef. I'd say P4 to 6 is where I throw it. You could even throw it P3 if you were going for tunies or something like that, but P4 to 6 feels more like it. Those two other sizes I'd be on my P8. So that's a range of Chieftains. Now I know this doesn't apply the same way that the Heroes dropping down to the Minions does. It's a different lure completely than the Chieftains, but I'm just going to pop it in here because it is a floating stick. Even though it's a walk the dog. This is the new Echo 95F, and it's that step up in size from the 80F. Definitely going to attract some bigger fellas on this thing, tweaky. Everyone has been asking the Malosi boys for a bigger size in the walk the dog, and that's exactly what this is. I love the fatter profile of these as well. It has a ton of presence. It's something that much bigger fish than what you potentially can handle on your setup are going to be attracted to, which is really exciting. So just be careful where you throw it, mate. You might get more than you bargained for on this. You'll see plenty of this coming up in my next trips. Righto, moving on. Next we have Tallow, the diving popper. When you see small pelagics feeding, and they break surface and then dive down, there's just this huge bubble trail behind them. If you've ever seen underwater footage of that, or even just up close when they do it at the ledge or something, you can start to see why bubbles are so attractive to fish. We've got the 180mm, 110 gram, rigged with a tail single, belly treb. Halfway between a floating stick and a popper, you have the diving popper. You hit it, it dives down, big bubble trail, kicks like a floating stick, comes up. This finish is particularly beautiful. There's a lot going on there, mate. I think the boys have really outdone themselves, haven't they, with the finishes on these lures. It's super unique, it's super beautiful, hyper real. 180mm, 110 gram. Next step down, you have 150mm, 60 gram. We're talking reef flats, P4, P6, tunies off the ledge, mackerel off the ledge. Super excited to throw these. You'll see more of them. 120mm, 30 gram. Are trouties even ready for what's coming for them with this? I don't think they know what's happening. Such a sick tuna lure too, man. That pop, that little bit of splash at the beginning, and then they see this thing sitting there. Frothing. So keen to throw. Haven't thrown this one yet. That'll be like a P3 for me, I think. So that's the diving poppers, Tallows. I've probably had just as many hits on the drop than I've had burning these things in. A rad little sinking stick. It's pretty brutal out there, man. I've seen the boys create lures before, and then 3-4 months later, there's a company that's released a lure with almost the identical shape. So you got to be a little bit secretive with this stuff. While I've tested samples of these, I haven't been allowed to fish with them where I can show them in my films. Now that I'm allowed to show everything, it's going to be a whole new world. I don't know what I'm going to throw. I've got so many choices. It's actually amazing. 115mm, 50 gram. This is in like a super white, full spectrum color. So these things, cast them out, sink them down, they'll wobble on the sink, and then you can sweep them a couple times, they'll kick, and then just burn them in, basically. They're a very easy to use lure. You just got to be careful you don't get snagged. If you know there's pelagics around, these are a great lure to just get into that rhythm of casting out, sinking down, burning it back in, casting out, sinking down, burning it back in. It doesn't hurt you to use, and you can hook monsters on these things. Next size down, and just to give you a size comparison, is the 100mm, 35 gram. So it's still got some decent weight to it. It's very good for getting that extra distance in the boat or off the rocks. Personally, my favorite size is this little fella. So now we're down to 85 mil, 25 gram. And that profile, mate, still 25 grams, so you can sling it with your light set up and it's going to send a mile. But that profile for tunies, it's just that size, bro. It's getting down to that size where they don't even think, they just eat it. And how sick are the finishes on these things, man? That's a really cool color. The red belly, full spectrum, white Malosi on top, that electric blue, full spectrum gill plate on that one too. Loving the colors, man. All right, they're the little rogue sinking sticks. Last but not least, we got the Tyrants. So these are the poppers. These are the Tyrants. They hold very, very nice in the water. They don't kill you to pop them, as some other poppers do. I've recently hooked a monster banger on one. I upgraded to barbless hooks, and I think that was a bad idea. So I pulled hooks on it. We'll crack into them and have a little look. This is the 180 mil, 135 gram Tyrant. Big explosion, big impact, big noise. This is your big popper. The cup is not too big though, so you don't break your spine when you're using it. They're really good for those first few casts when you rock up to a ledge, or if you want to stir things up again. It's a big popper that gets a lot of attention, does massive impact, massive splashes. This is the one I've been using the last couple of weeks. I haven't used these two yet, but extremely excited to. Dropping down, and I don't think we've seen this color yet. 150 mil, 65 gram, and I don't know if you can see that, but it's just covered in little tiny sparkles. Basically transparent with mini little sparkles. It's a mini Tyrant. We've never seen one like this before. I'm so keen to throw it. I've seen footage of the boys testing it and it just looks absolutely amazing. 150 mil, it's a smaller profile, but big fellas are gonna smash that. I'm sure you'll see this in a fish's mouth pretty soon on Briggsy channel. Last size, 120 mil, 35 gram. So stoked to have a popper of this size in my arsenal now. It is absolutely beautiful. The boys have killed it. This whole range, they've killed it. I'll lay them all out for one final look out of the boxes. Since the Malosi brothers started making lures, the theme has been, how do we get our lures in more fishermen's hands? They were always in such high demand. They would sell out. Sometimes a full drop would sell out in minutes. We're talking like 1,000, 1,500 lures in minutes were gone. And there would be so many disappointed fishermen going, oh, I want to get one. Why didn't I get one? Like actually skitsy, like dead off it. So the theme for the Malosi boys has been for a very long time, how are we going to get our lures in as many fishermen's hands as possible? One part of that is creating lures that can be made en masse, but also at a price where everyone can afford them. Yeah, I don't know if I'm allowed to say the date, but I think it'll be before Christmas, later this year, these will be released. Love your work, fellas. These are beautiful lures. Can't wait for them to be released publicly. Yeah.